Welcome to the Cake Therapy Podcast, a slice of joy and healing with your host, Dr. Altreisha Foster. This is a heartwarming and uplifting space that celebrates the transformative power of baking therapy. The conversations will be a delightful blend of inspirational stories, expert insights, and practical baking tips. Each episode will take listeners on a journey of self-discovery, emotional healing, and connection through the therapeutic art of baking. There's something here for everyone, so lock in and let's get into it.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Cake Therapy Podcast, your slice of joy and healing. Today's slice of joy comes to you from Atlanta. This all-female powerhouse, one a military vet and the other one of the famous Olympians in the world. Yes, today we speak with Olympic gold and bronze medalist, world-renowned 400-meter sprinter, keynote speaker, the one and only Dee Dee Trotter. And her partner, and her partner is also in the house, which is Jessica. She's the executive chef at Taste of Gold Bakery. So welcome, guys. Welcome.
Yes, thanks for having us.
I know, we're excited. Well, I'm excited. I was telling Jessica and Dee Dee before we started that I'm like 100% Jamaican, come with the track rivalry, but we're also big fans of Dee Dee. And you know what I love about the Taste of Gold is like, when I saw that Dee Dee was making desserts, I thought, it was a traditional one-woman show. But then I found out that she had a partner with her, and I don't love anything more than just women collaborating with each other, because they speak so bad about us, right, guys? That we can't pull it together. So I'm really excited to have both Dee Dee and Jess with us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us. It is so exciting to be on your show. First off, one up to Jamaica. All right. Always enough for my fans from Jamaica. I've loved Jamaican fans for all my entire career. So thank y'all for the years of support and love. Hands down, my favorite fans around the world.
So Jess and Dee Dee, I feel like we got lucky today because we have a 2-for-1, two powerhouse women, on this one show. But I'm really grateful. For you, I would like to know a little bit about your background. And what makes this partnership, this relationship work between you and Jessica. The question is for both of you.
Go ahead, sis.
Oh, okay. So I think the biggest thing, I think the biggest thing that makes me and Dee Dee a powerhouse when we work together is that when we do it, one, it feels like we're closer to God when we work with each other. It feels like the right thing to do. And there's never any hesitation. We're always willing to help each other. We're always willing to bend over backwards for each other. And we just have fun. Like, first and foremost, fun. If you were ever in the kitchen with us, and we say this all the time, we need a tripod, we need a camera crew. We are a hot mess.
Oh my
God. We put all of that hotness and love and laughter into whatever it is that we're doing, whether it's decorating, baking the cake, tasting the cake, trial and error. Let me tell you something. Dee Dee always says that we're soulmates. We're friends soulmates, and we put that into what we do. So that's what makes us what we are and what we give out to the world. You got an outfit, it's yours.
Yeah, so I remember meeting Jess. We were in culinary school. We went to the Art Institute of Atlanta, and we were in the same cake decorating class. We were in a few classes together, but I really became aware of her in the same space when we were doing dishes one day in the back. And she asked me about doing a cake for one of her friends' outside client. And I was like, yeah, girl, you got to do that. And we were just talking it through, and we were literally washing dishes and we were laughing, right?
Yeah.
This is so silly. So after that, it took us to reconnect through we have a mutual mentor. And we ended up reconnecting through there because I was hired as the executive pastry chef at Druid Hills Golf Club. And they were like, we don't have a team here. So I'm like, I got to build a team. So I reached out to the mutual mentor we have, And she's like, oh, I know exactly who would be great for this position. So I gave her a call. And this woman, let me tell you, she was already doing a lot in her own individual business. And she's like, I will make this work. And she's like, I'm going to finish one thing here. I'm going to get over there and I'm going to help you. Like, she's like, I know you're over there by yourself. I got your back. I'm coming. Right. And I was like, oh, thank God, please. It's not a one-man show, but I'm running it. So he comes in and immediately it was, do call us soulmates. There's this connection between two people where you don't have to say anything. They know what you're thinking. They are your right hand. You're their left hand. I cannot say something and she knows exactly what I need. I can think something and she knows exactly what I thought. So, we just have this energy, and next thing you know, it became this amazing workplace synergy. And we clicked. And we started creating, and the creations became more and more detailed and more, we got to do our own thing. It was kind of like, we need to step into this a little more. It became obvious that we were creating gold. Yeah. Just saying. So as we started making these gold nuggets, we were like, we just have it. So next thing you know, went on this journey where Jess went on to, she has a beautiful fiance. Can I put it out there, sis?
Yes, you told me.
She has a beautiful fiance, and their life journey took them away from Atlanta for a little while. And I just kept building, and then everything just didn't seem right without her, honestly. And so I had a really big opportunity with one of Atlanta's top realtors, and she was having a party at Brandy Hunter. I'm just gonna put her out there. She's the bomb. We had an event with Brandy Hunter, and I had this opportunity to do this amazing cake, and I called her and I said, hey, I need your help. And she's like, I got you. I'm gonna drive. This girl said she would drive 10 hours to come. I said, no, ma'am. But that's how dedicated she was. She's like, I got you.
Yeah.
She drive. We get her to Atlanta, and we had this amazing. It was just like everything came back together almost instantly. No hesitation. Everything just fell together perfectly. And from there, it was just like, come on, man, we got to do this, sis. We got to do it. And it was like, jump on board, come on board, sis. I need you to come on board the Taste of Gold Bakery train. And she's like, I'm already there. You didn't see my bags. They're under the cargo. I was like, I didn't know. I didn't see them. So it was like that. And then there is no better chemistry than the one I have with her. Like, it literally makes doing what you love even more of why you love it. And that is just, to put it simply.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds so amazing. Jess, what is it about your upbringing that makes you, commit to a friendship and a relationship like this, that you have this synergy and this cohesiveness that you'd say, like, yeah, I'm on it, I'm ready? Like, tell me a little bit more about you.
I feel like, well, one, I grew up with two sisters. So I've always been the middle child. And I feel like in my life, I've always been looking for balance, harmony, just kind of that people pleaser, but how do I make myself happy? When I met Dee Dee and we started talking, or we exchanged stories of our life, it was so similar. Even though she was a professional athlete and she did certain things in her life, me being a veteran, an international traveler, we realized we were going through the same things in life. Even though there's a small gap in age, it was like, are we sisters? Like,
exactly.
Have we crossed paths before this?
Yeah.
Like, did we have another life with each other? It just felt right. And it just, as my journey grew with God, it just became more and more clear, like, this is a woman that I deserve to have in my life, and she deserves to have me. And what better way to make sure we always blossom, we flourish, that we do not fail. It feels easy committing to Dee Dee, and she's always open and welcome to whatever it is that changes. She adapts to change. She's resilient. So as my life started to change in my relationship and having to move away, we made sure we stayed connected. And when I was traveling full time, when I was working overseas full time for 7 years, I lost a lot of friends. It was like out of sight, out of mind. they forgot about me. And their life kept going on and no one checked up on me. When I left to move overseas again, me and Dee Dee still stayed in touch. And she would reach out like, hey, I haven't heard from you. Where you at, sis? Like, what's going on? And I was like, that girl loved me. Like, that girl loved me. And that's what just made me feel like, you know what? I can give her. I can commit to this because it's not hard to do it. There are times, of course, we're going to bump heads, but we always work those things out. And that just made me feel like, you know, this is a relationship that I value in my life. So I'm going to keep it. And if you need my help, I'm going to help you. It's not like she's making me sign my life away. She's willing to work with whatever time that I have. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, can you be here? And it's like, you know, no, I can't right now. It's okay. Cool. She doesn't hate me for it. She doesn't bash me for it. She understands those things. And I think ultimately, we're always looking for someone to understand us and accept us for who we are. And I have that with Dee Dee. So it just makes sense to commit. It just makes sense to be there. It makes sense. I'm not going to make it difficult. That's all.
So Dee Dee, my question for you then, you know, after a woman gets to a certain level of fame, because you are famous in my eyes, right? And I'm sure to a lot of people, it's hard to have people breach that circle. It's like no new friends.
Yeah.
How did you get to a place where Dee Dee Trotter, Olympic gold medalist, bronze medalist, who's already affirmed a circle around her because now you need protecting. How did you allow, you know, Chef Jess to come into your space, and what was it about her that made you, you know, put your guard down?
So I love this question because it gives me a chance to kind of like tap into true roots of who Dee Dee Trotter is, right?
Yes.
So I am, and always prayerfully, I will always be a humble person. I did not come from, you know, rich backgrounds and, you know, grew up what I would call, you know, like a moderately struggled kid, you know, clothes that don't fit, you know, little food, little, you know, it's just, I didn't grow up in a way that no matter what status I ever achieved, what I ever feel I could not open myself up to people in any kind of way. And I'm a Sagittarius. That says something. So my personality is to really just be a lover and to, you know, love people and to just be open to new relationships. That's just my natural way of living. And no matter how much fame or how much status I ever acquired from being a professional athlete, I never changed that about myself. You can ask almost anyone who ever met me, even at the peak of my career, even carrying gold medals, even in the midst of receiving a medal, I walked through the Olympic Village, and from the oldest person to the youngest person, you can have a hug, you can hold my medals, we can take a picture. I'm never going to tell you no. I'm just that kind of person. So it was easy to let Chef Jess into my space because I am a trusting person and I'm a loving person. And then until you show me otherwise, and then I'll close off doors and I'll make the adjustment, I should say, whatever adjustment is necessary to meet you where you are. So, but with her, I never had to worry about that. She possesses a similar spirit as me. We like she said, we have a similar upbringing, a similar background. To some degree, it's like we walk the similar path to get to where we are today. And that journey actually connected us instead of, you know, and it made us, it was almost like instant non-biological sisters. It was very, 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 it was very odd and it was weird. And it was like, kind of like, do I trust this person this much? And it's like, yeah, I do. And it's so weird. And I'm just like, I'm not going to block the love I feel. I'm not going to, I'm not going to let fear of what could happen outweigh the potential of what could happen in the most beautiful way. So definitely embraced the opportunity. And if it backfired, I was like, well, it was worth the risk, because I'd rather have this beautiful experience with this person, even if it's for a short time, than to not have had it at all. So I'm glad that it was real. I'm glad that it was genuine. I'm glad that it was more than what I ever expected it to be. I didn't think I would meet a friend soulmate at 40. I didn't think that was possible. Because like you said, usually by age 40 or so, even at some point, you've got a pretty tight circle around you. And you got your Fab Five, or you got your handful of people you fool with on a normal basis, and that's usually it. But with her, it was like, no, I'll take all of you because all of you is awesome. So no, it was no challenge at all. And I think that's just because I'm a chameleon of sorts. If you put me around enough British people, I'll be like, hey, hello, how are you doing, darling? Are you well? Okay, darling, put me around enough. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm a chameleon. I go with the flow. I don't know why.
Yeah. I love how intentional you are about each other, which is really, really good. I can see that. That's really, really exciting for me. So I have a question for you, Dee Dee. You played basketball. You ran track in high school. When and who saw that you were a track star? How did you know? How did you choose? How were you able to say, okay, I'm going to do track?
I'm going to make a long story short, because you would have to do a whole project on that one question. I have always been fast. I was fast when I was 8 years old. I was fast when I was 7 years old. I was beating my cousins in the streets, beating my brother's entire little junior pop football team. Race that girl. Yep. Zoom. Bye. Beat him on time. Go cry. Yeah, I got beat by a girl. Yes, you did. Go cry. Stop signing the mailbox. I tagged you up. You're done.
Yeah.
That was how, barefoot, no shoes, Phoenix, Arizona, stop signing the mailbox, got him. Like, that's how we did it, okay? In growing up, I always knew I was fast. It was never a question. My grandpa, everybody knew it. Kindergarten, I was always the athlete of the kindergarten all the way through my entire life. She's the female athlete of the school. Yes, I was. And that was my life. So I already knew it.
Yeah.
I just did not like outdoor sports. I got skin sensitivity. I got asthma. I'm just not. I honestly don't know if I'm built for that, but I guess I was, but I didn't feel like I was. I tried to stay away from the running part because, to be honest, track and field is most sports punishment. So what we do is hard, it's tough, and it requires you to have a lot of mental and physical stamina and endurance for a lot of difficult training. And I just was more of an indoor sports person. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do basketball. And then that was my love. Basketball was my love, my go-to, my thing. So you couldn't tell me nothing. My first boyfriend was Wilson Jett, which is the name of the basketball company. Like, I was me, okay? Literally had no other thoughts about track and field. I just was the fastest kid on the court. And I mean, you've never seen anything faster on a basketball court until you saw me running on the court. So that's how that kind of trickled. 96 Olympics were in Atlanta. People kept giving me Jackie Jonah Kersey figurines. And I'm like, this is great. Thanks, guys. Ha, not going to run. And then finally, everyone kept saying, that girl is fast. We got to get her on the track. You going to run track? I said, I'll run in high school. Take a breather. Oh, my gosh, relax. So I made a commitment to run when I got to high school. I did not run prior to that. I started high school track, and then some of my best friends that are still my friends to this day, literally, I have friends from the age of 15 that I still hang out with like 2 weeks ago. And they were running track. They were really into track. And here in Atlanta, the summer track programs are really big, and they were just into this whole thing. So it became, if I wanted to hang out with two of my best friends, I literally had to run track with them. Because that's all they did. The whole summer, they would be gone to these little track meets. And I'm like, this is too hot. So I was like, I got eczema. I'm just not built for this. So I literally just couldn't feel myself in it. So I did it with them. And I started getting into the lifestyle of the whole track and field summer thing. And I did it 2 years with them. And then they were ahead of me in school. So when they went to college, I stopped. I said, no, thank you. I went back to high school track. High school basketball was my focus, and I did cheerleading in football season. So those are my 3 sports. And I was more focused on basketball than anything else. I did get scholarship offers in track and basketball, and I was state champion in track and field. I was also like tip-off club offensive player of the year, tip-off club basketball defensive player of the year. I was a very good basketball player as well. So my goal was to play ball. And it wasn't until senior year that I'm going to share this part of the story because I think it's important. There's a lot of athletes who don't know that there is a process to getting recruited. I grew up in an era where when you get a letter, I thought that, nowadays it's very different. There's social media, there's all these things. You didn't have that in the, early 2000s. And they sent me all these letters, and I would put them in a shoebox, one for track, one for basketball, and I let them sit there. I was thinking like it's gonna be on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The coach is gonna come to your house, they're gonna knock on the door, they're gonna tell you how great you are, and they're gonna say they're gonna come watch you at the game, and then they're gonna come recruit you. That's what I thought was gonna happen because that's what they do, right? Yeah. Nobody in my family had ever gone to Division I college, had ever gone to play Division I sports. So no one had, they didn't have a checklist for this. And the school I went to, respectfully, they didn't have a checklist for it either. They were just handing me the letters and here you go, another one. And I was like, great, now I have boxes of letters, but no direction. So my interest letters literally sat there. Most of them unopened. I was just like, oh, cool. Michigan, okay. Florida, okay. Duke, okay. Tennessee, they just sat there and I thought they were coming to me. So I almost literally missed out on my entire blessing. And it wasn't until our basketball team went to state. We got 4th. We got put out early. Getting put out early actually put me in position to go to an indoor meet that they used to have here at Georgia indoor track and field meet. My coach was like, yeah, girl, go on over there. I got you in there. Just go run. I'm like, coach, I just finished playing basketball. He's like, it's all right, girl. Just go in there. I got you in it. I said, okay. I go to the track meet and I break the indoor 200-meter record. Just straight off the basketball court, not even 48 hours off the basketball court, no track training, nothing. I just went there, broke the indoor record, and the University of Tennessee coach was there at the meet. So she comes running down the stairs and I'm walking off the track. She literally meets me running up down the stairs. I'm walking up the stadium and she says, what school are you going to? She was just like, what school are you going to? And I was like, I'm going to Tennessee. And she was like, for basketball? I was like, kind of. See, when I didn't get the calls or the responses, and this is the message for all you young athletes out there, open the letters, call the coaches, communicate. I know that sounds like common sense, but for those of you who don't have the guidance, who don't have the people in your corner who know how to get you there, you have to reach out to the schools. This their attempt to reach you is the letter. Then you have to follow up, okay? Newsflash, I know it sounds so simple. But I had already applied to Tennessee. When they didn't come knocking at my door, I said, that don't stop me. So me and my mom, we got online, we applied, I got accepted. I was like, I told you I was going to Tennessee, baby, since I was 10. I ain't playing around. I'll walk on the team. They gonna see about me. That was my attitude. They gonna see about me. So I had already been accepted. I had already gotten in. I didn't have the money. Let's go back. I didn't have the money. So we're gonna figure that out when we got there. But then she comes up and she's like, let's talk. And she's like, what would you do what would you say if I say I pay for your school and you come run for me for 1 year and I'll introduce you to Pat Summit? I said, ma'am, what'd you say your name was again? I said, let's talk. That is how I ended up in track instead of on the basketball court, and how I ended up at Tennessee. And it all started, just from people saying, that girl fast. She sure is fast on that basketball court.
So we almost didn't get the announcement because when we heard there's Dee Dee coming out of Tennessee, someone popping off at Tennessee, and we're like, who that? We don't have access to the internet that much, so we are like, everybody's hearing the buzz. So we heard that you were coming. So
it was crazy.
I know, that's good. That's a good perspective and insight to share with the up and coming, professional track and field participants. But I'm interested to learn about your story and your journey to the military. Like, how did you get there? What propelled you into that direction?
Oh man, I didn't want to join the military. I knew I wanted to be. I didn't, girl. I just thought, women in uniform. Oh, they look like guys, and I'm a girl. I don't want to look like a guy. Very immature standpoint on it, right? But I didn't have a lot of support in trying to, I guess, shape and mold who I wanted to be and how to get there. It was very much just go to school and you'll figure out the rest. Get a job, you'll figure out the rest. So I never wanted to join, but I just happened to be on a huge military installation and it was everywhere. And I was rebellious against it. I think I was working at Sears in the mall. A recruiter walked up to me and I was like, I'm not going to war. Like, what? What war looks like on TV? I'm not shooting a gun. I'm not going out there. And he was like, it's not about that. He's like, it's not about that. We'll pay for you to get in shape. We'll pay for you to go to college. What do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I don't know, but I want to be more than this. So little by little, he just kept convincing me that, it's not about going to war. It's about investing in yourself and figuring out what you want to do in life. So somehow he got me to sign a contract. Now I'm going in. I was a pharmacy technician. I had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't in shape. But I tried my hardest. I knew that I didn't want to stay in poverty. I knew that I needed medical. I needed dental. I needed clothes on my back. I needed a vehicle to get around. I knew those bare minimum things. How else am I going to do it? I work in a mall. I have so much more potential than that. So I was active duty for 5 years. I ended up getting out. And I went overseas to Afghanistan in support of the military. And I just started making goals for myself. I want to make this much money this year. I want to help my mom. I want to help my sisters. I want to give back. So how do I do that? Set a goal to get there. I stepped out of my shell or cracked out of it. And I became a people person. I started networking with people. I learned how to speak to people. They loved me so much. It was like, hey, we want you to work here. Let's train you how to do this. And I started to grow. Throughout that growth, I wanted to travel. I live on the other side of the world. I'm in a red zone where there's war literally right outside this wall. I need to start experiencing life. So I got a passport. And I said, whoever wants to come with me, I'll pay. I just need to get a passport and get some time off. No one wanted to do it.
Wow.
So you know what? I'm going to do it myself. Because I can't wait. So I started traveling. I started letting what I was doing for a living feed into my travel experiences. I went to like 15 different countries on my own. And I just did it. So from there, I just started to grow into this different one. It was a birthday that I was in Afghanistan and I fell into a depression. And there, the food is so bad. It's like prison grade food. And I did this for 7 years, right? My health is deteriorating. I can see it in my face. I can feel it in my body. And I decided to order a little conventional oven, some mixing bowls. I would go to the cafeteria and go with my purse. I would put little tablespoons of butter in my bag, little cream cheese, little packets of salt. And I said, I'm going to do something today. So I baked like my first set of cupcakes, never baked before, and they were good. Yeah. They were so good. I was like, whose birthday's coming up? Like somebody's birthday's got to be coming up. I figured out everybody's birthday in my office, and I started baking cupcakes for everybody with this little bitty oven. And just the joy that came to their faces from just somebody baking something different for them, somebody remembering them and just celebrating them, it changed my whole perspective of how to care for people. Yeah. And that was never the intention. I just wanted to do something good. And it sparked something inside of me where I was like, I might be done traveling. I need to figure out a school to go to. I want to learn how to cook. I want to learn how to bake, even if it's just being better at home. Wherever that leads to, it's got to be good because I'm good, right? If I'm good, it can be good.
Right.
So my 7-year venture overseas had come to an end. I decided, let me pick a spot on the map. Atlanta, Georgia. I didn't know anybody in Atlanta. I didn't know anybody in Atlanta. I knew it was Black and it was probably going to be for me, right? So I enrolled at the Art Institute of Atlanta, and I became a pastry chef. I became a culinary chef first. I loved it so much, I said, I'm going to go be a pastry chef too. Got both of my degrees. I know! That part! I became a chef. Just
wow.
like that. So I've always been self-driven. I didn't necessarily always have someone in my corner rooting for me, but whatever I wanted to do, my family did support it, and they were like, "Okay, girl, lead the way. Do whatever you want to do." I knew I had to be more than my surroundings, and that's what's always driven me to do more and commit to more. Even if I feel like I can't do it, just try. Just never know what you're really capable of until you try.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I'm hearing a lot of parallels in Dee Dee's upbringing and yours, Jess. And here's another thing that's fascinating me. Like, I used to walk bare feet. My mom used to join two socks together so I could match the school uniform. I migrated. I picked a place on the map. I migrated to Washington, D.C. to go to Howard University with $900, no place to live. So I'm like seeing a lot of parallels, and I can really relate to the stories of your life, right? Wow. And I'm so many women like us out there who have similar stories. Yeah. And there's so many women like us who are afraid to even do it, just do it. Yeah. What is your message to a girl? This is for both of you, because you're leading in your space. What is your message to that girl?
And I know this sounds so cliche, but you only live once. If there's something in your heart that you want to do, if there's something in your mind that you want to do, if there's something in your spirit that you want to do, you get one life to try it. I didn't say succeed at it. I said you get one life to try it. Just try it. I mean, just go for it. Like, all you got to do is try it. Now, sometimes you're going to try it. It might not work out, but at least you tried it. And that is what I not only tell women that are trying to, explore, taking that jump, taking that risk, going out there and trying to get after their ambitions and their goals. But this is just a universal message, because I think trying has gotten lost amongst people. There's so much fear about failure that trying has become some type of kryptonite for people. And if you are not trying, you've already failed. I say this in all of my motivational messages. If you are not trying, you've already failed, and you'll be facing something a lot worse than failure. You'll be facing regret. And that is something that does not go away easily. Regret can last you a lifetime, and failure only lasts as long as it takes you to get back up and try again. When you fail, if you start over and try it again, failure is gone, and now you've proceeded to try it again. It does not last that long, but regret can last you forever. So give it a try. Just try
it. And failure, to caveat for what you're saying, failure is an answer as well. It will give you the answers to what you need to succeed. Right? Okay. We have this impression, because we have social media, that everybody else is doing something perfect. Those are filters. That is editing, right? Real life looks like failure. It will give you an answer, right? Yes. So like Dee Dee said, you just gotta try. We gotta get out of our own head, and we have to try, because there's so many answers in failing. All the right answers are in failing.
Yes, failure is the blueprint for success. That is what I say. That is what I believe. That is what will go down. You can put it on my headstone. Dee Dee Trotter said failure was the blueprint to her success. There would not be any gold medals. There would not be any bronze medals. There wouldn't be a Taste of Gold bakery. There wouldn't be any of these things were it not for multiple failures. Yeah. Failures taught me what I needed to know in order to succeed. Every failure became another stepping stone in the right direction. And it's just how you internalize failure that will determine whether it becomes a positive force in your life or a negative force in your life.
Yeah. Wow.
And who defines your failure? Right?
You're right.
Your failure.
Yes.
So that's up. So I did something completely wrong. But who defined that failure?
Right. Who said it was failure? It's perspective, right? Winning is perspective. Yes. And it's, again, another part of my message that I do use in motivational speaking. everyone talks about the gold medals. Yeah, the gold medals are great, but most people in their life, they'll go through their entire life and never have a gold medal like moment, right? So whether it's a real life gold medal or something that's equivalent to a gold medal, whether you're like the top in your industry or the number one person in your field or whatever, these gold medal opportunities present themselves and you may never get one. That does not mean you lived your whole life as a failure. Yeah. What that means is your perspective of winning is slightly skewed, and you need to readjust and remember that winning is perspective. That's why when people ask me about the bronze medal to me, while it may have been third at the Olympics, for me, it was a first place experience. It's my different shade of gold. That's how I see it. So, girl, winning, that was the best I ever ran in my life. I came back from the knee injury. I came back from 3 years of loss, 3 years of failure, 3 years of disappointment. Everybody said I should have retired after my knee surgery. I was done. I had lost my contract. I was living. It was tough. Yeah. But when I crossed the finish line in third place, the last thing I felt like was a loser. Winning at that moment became about perspective. What did it take to get here? Yeah. What did I have to sacrifice to get here? Will I downgrade? Will I define my failure as a loss, or will I define my failure in this situation as a success? And I chose to go the other route. That bronze medal is a different shade of gold, baby. You better believe it. Yeah.
You better tell them.
So, as I hear you speak, Dee Dee, I will. Like, where did that come from in all of this? Right? I will. Where did that all come from? And then once I hear where that came from for Jess, I want to know from Dee Dee, I want to know what that means for Jess, in this partnership.
I can, I must, I will was developed in the darkest place, in the lowest place of failure. Yeah. At that point in 2008, 2007, I was on top of my career. I was looking to go to the 2008 games and claim the gold medal. It was in my sights. It was a realistic possibility for me. And I don't think anyone ever discredited that being the reality. And I was trying to step into my purpose at that point. And I got hit with the knee injury. And I still made the Olympic team in 2008, but I did not meet the goal, right? Yeah. I go home, I have this knee surgery that's supposed to end my career. It has a 90% failure rate at the time. This knee surgery nowadays is probably just like a snap in your back on the track. But at the time, it had a very, long recovery time, and the probability of being able to compete and run the way I used to was very low. But for 3 years, I would fight to get back to the top. And I was fighting the wrong way at first. I was fighting with just physical strength. Oh, I got to work harder. I got to train harder. I got to find a new weight coach. I was trying to finesse and manipulate the physical system, but it wasn't about the physical. It was a mental game. It became getting back mentally tough, because over that time when I was losing all those races, I was also losing confidence. I was losing belief in myself. I was losing courage. I was becoming fearful. I was becoming driven by fear and driven by doubt. And those things started to push out any belief and any confidence I had in myself. So when you get to that point, it doesn't matter how physically great you are. When you step on the line, if you have no confidence and you have no belief in yourself, your performance is going to reflect that. So that's what was happening. 3 years later, I was actually healed, but I was still running like I was a deer being chased by a lion or something. I was scared, right? But I didn't even know I was scared. I didn't even recognize that fear was on me. I didn't even recognize that doubt was in me so deep that it had pushed out all the belief in my life. And so when I realized this, I woke up one day, I was going to church actually, and I had found a new church home in Orlando, Florida, and it was just, messages weren't geared towards sports or anything like that, but it started to just reinstill in me what I grew up as. I'm a preacher's kid. My dad was a preacher. I grew up, in the church until I was about maybe 8 years old. But those things had got kind of lost, and church starting to kind of reignite some of the inner strength that I actually used to get to any type of greatness at that point, And so I started to go through this, these mental checklists. And I realized I was weak mentally. The tough athlete that I realized I was mentally weak, right? So one day I woke up and I kept hearing this little voice in my spirit. It just kept saying, don't give up. I kept losing races. I kept getting my butt handed to me. And I was about to give up one day. I'll never forget the moment. I was at the Prefontaine Track Classic. And it's one of the biggest meets in the United States. It's one of the biggest international meets. And getting ready, I was getting dressed. I was sitting in my hotel room. I literally had one leg in my uniform. And my agent calls me and he says, "Hey, Dee Dee, don't go to the track." And I was like, what's going on? Like, what are you talking about? I'm getting dressed. He's like, "No, don't come to the track. They kicked you out of the race." And I was like, "No, but hold on a minute, because the race is only a few hours from now. So like, how can they kick me out of the race? I'm already in, like, I'm confirmed to be in the race." He's like, "No, I've been fighting with these guys all night. I've been arguing with them all night. They have given your lane to someone else. And basically they're going to give you first place prize money to home." And I said, "I don't need the money. I need the race." Now, this is in 2008 when I have a shattered knee and I'm trying to make the Olympic team. I'm struggling already. I got enough on my plate. This is my last opportunity to try to get some running in while my knee is messed up, trying to make this Olympic team. And I remember him saying, "That's all I can do. I'm sorry, Dee Dee, I tried." And I remember hanging up the phone. I remember like all these tears and anger and frustration started to like build up. And I wasn't a crier. I was never a crier about track. Now, you put a basketball in my hand, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna be like, "Why y'all play too much out here in these streets?" Like, I'm gonna be feeling some kind of way about basketball, but I never really cried about track, right? So I feel the anger and the frustration and the tears start to build up. And I remember this little voice in my head that said, "You can keep going, don't give up." And so I called him back and I was like, "Hey, Mark, yeah, give me a race anytime, any place, any city, any state. I don't care. I just need one more shot." And he's like, I got you. So he goes and gives me a race in Claremont, Florida, a place I never heard of, never been before. I was like, okay, he stuck to the parameters pretty tight. And I was like, I went out there and I ran better than I had been running with the injury. Now, it would take me 3 years to rehear those words. Mm-hmm. I heard him then. I heard him again once before, and I just kept calling it the voice. Like this voice. This is going to resonate with you, because I told this story at graduation in my valedictorian speech. I had this moment where I just kept saying, "It's the voice, it's God, he's speaking to me. This is the voice." And it was never really clear until I was at my lowest point and my back was against the wall. I have 1 year left in my contract. If I don't get back to running after my knee surgery in 2012, if I don't get back to something, it's over for me. 2012 will be my last year. There'll be no more track and field for me. It'll be done. There'll be no more contracts. There'll be nothing for me. So my back is against the wall if I don't do something now. And at the most lowest point, I start to hear the voice. But then it comes in more clear. And it was, I can, I must, I will keep going. Now, I had been hearing this before. I just kept saying it was some type of voice. And it wasn't until it was super clear in 2012 that I said, "Oh, I wrote it down." See, that's the problem. We always try to remember stuff. Just write it down, get it out your head. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to write this down." So I wrote it down and I did it in color pencils and markers. And I put it on the wall, on the door when I was walking out the door every day. So every day I would see the sign, "I can, I must, I will. I can, I must, I will." I said it over and over again. "I can, I must, I will. I can, I will." Every day. And I started speaking life into myself and speaking positivity into myself and speaking the opposite of everything that was trying to take me down. So everything that was telling me to quit and give up, I started just saying, "No, I never give up. I can, I will." Everything that says you don't believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. Everything that says you're not going to make it, sacrifice. I just started spewing all of these things. And every time I said it, I wrote it down. So I would write it down. So next thing I know, I woke up one day with a wall that said, "Never give up. I believe, I can, I must, I will, sacrifice, got this." Like all of these positive opposites of what life was trying to tell me wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And they became my emergency responders whenever I felt fear, whenever I felt doubt, right to the moment when I walked on the track in the finals of the 2012 Olympic Games, where nobody said I would ever be. After 3 years of loss, 3 years of failure, 3 years of disappointment, they said, "I can't talk about it, y'all."
Your plans knew, Dee Dee. We knew. We knew. Yeah.
I mean, even to the last minute when the starter says, "On your mark, fear and doubt," tried to show up in that moment and said, "You're a false start." I never false started in my entire career. Why would that automatically pop into my head? Because fear and doubt is relentless. Fear and doubt is, I mean, they are all night. They don't sleep. They stay on point. They waiting for you to have a moment of weakness to slip in and try to take your dreams from you. But I was ready. See, I had been training. I had been looking at it every day, reading it every day, preparing myself for the day. I was tight. Wasn't no getting in. And I figured out then, one thing that I didn't know that I figured out then was that the only thing more powerful than fear and doubt is belief. When you believe, fear and doubt cannot exist in the same space. It's not possible. So when you fill yourself with belief, fear and doubt will flee. So while I'm standing on the line, the man says, run and take your marks. And the fear says, you're going to false start. I said, oh no, you can go watch the video right now. I start saying, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me, right out loud on the track, 100, all those people on all those cameras. I don't care. I got 49 seconds to make something of myself, and I'm not going to let fear and doubt take it from me. So the word of the day is, y'all, believe.
Yeah, I can, I must, I will. So track and field and the military, so like worlds apart, right? There's two women who are contributing to the growth and development of their own country. You both ended up at the Art Institute in Atlanta. Why baking? Why baking?
You know, I ask myself that all the time, and I have to stop asking myself because I don't have
something to say about this too. So when you finish, I cap this off. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm gonna have to cap it off.
Let me tell you, it's been a battle between baking and cooking, or just being in the kitchen. Yeah. I don't feel like I chose it. I think God told me that's what I had to do. And there's so much more in store for what it is that we have to do, what we're called to do. And there's a right, we think it's one thing, but God's perspective is different than ours, right? So you feel something much bigger than you when you're doing it. And it's like, why? Why me? You know, I could be doing something else. I could be doing my little 9 to 5. That's easier. You know, being an entrepreneur is hard. There is no starting salary.
Yeah.
Right? You know, there are no guarantees.
No.
So I ask God that a lot, like, why me? And it just turned into, what is it that you want me to do? What is it that you need me to do? What do I need to say yes to today?
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. And in introducing Dee Dee's like emergency responders, the I can, I must, I will, it can be that big or it can be a daily struggle. You know, there are always things that are here to distract you. Being vegan, it's hard. I love it, but it's hard. And it's real hard next to Dee Dee. Because we make stuff. We make great desserts, you know? So I'm vegan like 85% of the time. And then when Dee Dee steps in the kitchen, it's out the window. I gotta taste this. I gotta eat this. I gotta try this. I gotta critique this. So every day I still have that struggle where I have to tap into what I'm called to do as a vegan. And she's open to that. You know, you do you, looks, I support you as long as it tastes like gold. You know, so every day I have that I can, I must, I will in the mental. You know, today I have to create something that's vegan. I have to lead by example with my diet. I have to lead it, you know, by example doing these things and not fear that I'm going to lose out on an opportunity for a customer because they don't want vegan. We got a whole community out there. Let me tell you, they're waiting for me to step my game up.
Because like it sounds like in the moments when you were asking what I'm supposed to do, that you got your answer. That your is going to be the vegan desserts, correct?
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's more than that too. That's just for right now.
That's where I need to chime in.
Okay,
that's where I need to chime in because so this woman blessed and fully ordained in the world of vegan cooking. When I tell you, now coming from a person who is not vegan, I have adopted a lot of vegan attributes. Thankfully, Jess is integrating of this type of delicious food into my life. So she is an amazing savory chef. Her calling, I personally believe that her calling is to take the health and wellness of eating, restore it to our broken health and lack health and healthy food industry. That's putting it simply, okay? So somewhere in her life path, she's going to be the reason that we can go to the store and the term organic is not needed anymore. I mean, we've lived all over the world where when you go to the store, what is organic? They say organic. What do you mean? Well, now when I'm back in America, I'm like, oh, okay, food with less toxins. That's what you're trying to say. But a lot of places in the world, they don't even know what that means because they're not providing an alternative that's not natural or not healthy or not packed with something poisonous for you. So what Jess is going to do on a bigger scheme is why I had to have her on my team, because I would love when she steps into this change the world in the way that you eat. It is going to be under the Taste of Gold umbrella.
Yeah.
Selfishly had to have her. No, but she is so gifted in vegan culinary. There we are. And vegan pastry is more challenging for her, and it is more where she has to like think and focus and work. But you should see her on her side. It's like it's a magician. She's just so in. It's like it's flowing, and so. And I saw her pastry skills. I said, wow, you are an amazing pastry chef. Like, and I was like, we gotta something with this, sis. And she's like, yeah, but I also love, I was like, look, there's no but let's just do it. Let's just do it. So I don't have a cap on what gold tastes like, baby. I'm not, we start where we start, but we end where I just the go.
Yeah.
How? Go in that thing. We in the race. So we're starting with pastries. Where that branches out to, I am fully open. She is the executive sous chef of Taste to Go Bakery, but she is also in head of the vegan department. Department is undefined. I didn't say vegan pastries. Vegan pastry department, sure. Vegan department is where we are. So if we do a little something and this and that, that's just we do. Because gold has no,
you heard it? It's just department, honey. It is just department.
We can
undefined. Let's go.
Labels are so tricky.
Yeah. Here's this. I get Taste of Gold. Okay, I get it.
Yes.
Why did Dee Dee Trotter go to bake? What made you bake?
I have always been a baker. When I was running stop sign the mailbox, I was easy baking oven it. That was the same. Cooking with a lamp was like magic, boy. You couldn't tell me nothing. I popped that little cake in that little lamp box and come out with that nasty little cake, and I was still trying to make it cute. I just about it was just always there for me. I've always loved it. I can remember literally. I can go back to the age of 10 when I really fell in love with two things: basketball and cake. I'm just gonna start with cake because it was more of a cake thing. And from there, I took the little challenges of, the birthday parties and the baby showers and the bridal showers and the weddings of my friends and family. And I just did that for years, and I always did it. And I started doing it more on a serious level. And I guess I could say maybe around 2005 or 2006, I would go out and buy all the stuff to do table decorations and event planning. I actually thought I was going to go into event planning when I retired from track and field. So I actually was building a whole inventory. Right now, if you say, Dee Dee, I need a baby shower, I'd be like, girl, I got you. Let me go to my basement real quick. I'm ready. I can go. Just those I'm telling the truth, be like, what you need? You need a baby shower today? I got you, girl. So we have this, I had this innate designing and to design and create and to bake, but I've always been a person that uses my hands. And I get that from my dad. He was a barber. He was, he could build things. And I think I just picked this up from him. So I've always been very good with my hands. So creating, making, and it so happens that it was baking and decorating is where I kind of set my sights. Yeah. And as I got more and more into designing the cakes for my friends, I just started trying to get more advanced with it. I'm like, that looked a little basic last time. Let me try this and let me try that. And I remember my first step out into that wasn't from a box. it was my best friend's baby shower, and she wanted elephant cake, so she was a Delta. So I bought this elephant cake mold, and I spent hours piping starburst to design the elephant's colors and make it look like, I did 2 of them, that. And so I have a picture of this. Recently I found it. I was like, ooh, I have to post this on Instagram. Post your first cake and then your latest cake. Boy, it's going to be a dramatic difference. But it was so fun to do that. And I was like, that was so fun. I had a great time. Like, I remember being in the kitchen, like slaving over this. And when you don't have piping skills, let me just tell you, that was hours of piping. And for like a rookie, it was hours of piping. Yeah. It was like, man, that was hard, but I still had fun. So I just kept getting deeper and deeper into it. And year after year, I do more elaborate cakes. I went to try to build 3-tier cakes and, just started getting more and more into it. And then in my year when I knew I was going to retire, 2015, I knew 2016 would probably be my last go around. I said, I had to start thinking about, what are you going to do? I knew I had my nonprofit that I had started running for the people. I knew I had that. And I knew I wanted to, really grow and develop that. And I said, okay, I have my nonprofit, but what else do I want to do? And I was like, I've always wanted to bake. Let's explore that. So I started baking again. I started bringing all the snacks to the track. That was not good for USC at the time. They were my little tasters and they were not shy. And they started building the confidence, like, these are great. And they were like, you should take this to the shop. And so I did a couple of put your pastries in the diner type of things. And I ended up moving from LA before I actually did any of them, but I went on the tastings and they were like, yeah, we want to order this and that every week. And I was like, okay, let me let you know. Then I took a job that moved me to Switzerland. So as an international motivational speaker, which is another one of my passions, I'm a passionate person. Yeah. I'm a chameleon. I just am who I am. I'm a speaker. I'm a motivator. I'm a chef. I'm a retired athlete, never former, just retired. Yes. So, these things are part of who I always am. It just took me to have the opportunity to, say, this is what I want to do. And it actually kept taking missed opportunities to really finally focus in. COVID is what boomeranged me right into, or slingshot me, into culinary school. I said, I ain't got time for this no more. COVID came, thank y'all. This is the excuse I need to get on the path I really want to be on. And boom, just like that. Went to school during COVID. I said, this is all I needed was a break from the world.
Yeah. So who is inspiring you, Jess? And who inspires you, Dee Dee? And who inspires you, Jess?
Ooh, I got the answer for this one. Go ahead. You got one?
You go. No, you go.
Okay. So I've had a couple of great inspirations. My past inspiration used to be the great legendary Pat Summitt from University of Tennessee, one of the greatest coaches to ever live. She inspired me to the beast mentally that I'm as an athlete. It was just through her awesomeness. But my current motivation, the person that inspires me, the person that kind of makes me want to be better, is my coach, Coach Carol Gilbert from University of Georgia now. She's at UGA now. This woman is amazing. She just keeps breaking boundaries. I mean, from being one of the first Black female head coaches to, achieve so many monumental steps in Division I sports. But just the continuation of her greatness as I continue to watch her ascend, top. She's just graceful. Yeah. And she's just awesome. And she continues to motivate me and inspire me every day just by living her regular life. So it's completely a parallel world, obviously track and field and baking. But it all requires a certain amount of focus, determination, and, a certain amount of go hard that if you think, making a cake ain't gonna have you on your feet for, sometimes 48 hours, you're gonna have to have some resilience and some determination.
Yeah.
Mental capacity has to be intact. Yeah. So, she's a constant, a walking billboard of what, greatness after 40 can look like, and how, there's no cap on how great you can be when you're just, like I said earlier, when you're just trying.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm happy that you said, the parallel. Because usually when I struggle about who inspires me, it's like, well, who's done something like me in my line of work that inspires me? And it can be anybody, right? And I've struggled just pinpointing one particular person in this line of work.
Yeah.
But throughout my years of just living and meeting people and just seeing how your friends can change, there's one person that comes to mind, and I've been telling Dee Dee about her more and more.
Oh, yeah.
Because we just had a 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
But one of my really good friends, Bosh Turner, and I've watched this young woman, flourish from being at her bottom, wanting to unfortunately take her own life and build herself back up to the woman that she is. And she has just started her own ministry. It's been 1 year, and she invited me into that. And I was saved during her opening of her ministry. So we celebrate our anniversary together. And just seeing her go into ministry, going into God's word, feeling like, why me?
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. I don't want to, preach to people about the word. We're shunned upon. I'm so young. But she has overcome so many things, and she's still going. And as she's in my corner and I'm in hers, she makes me believe in myself and get closer to God in whatever it is that I'm supposed to be doing. Because when you learn how to trust those voices that you hear, then you're write it down. That's God talking to you.
Yeah.
And she's teaching me how to tap into that, tune into that. And she's been a huge, huge inspiration for me to just keep pushing, not knowing where I'm going, being led by faith, right? Blind, but just go, take that step, have that endurance. So she would be my biggest inspiration during this journey so far.
Ma'am.
I see the anchor is holding in both of your lives. That Christ is really the solid rock in your spaces.
Yep.
And what, Jess, do you want your legacy to be? At the end of it all, what is your legacy?
I think my legacy in the end of everything is to believe in God, trust the inner you and what that feels like, what that sounds like, how to walk in those steps of like what feels right, outcome, what feels right. Knowing that the best that you want to be and the best that you want to receive out of this life, you can have that. You can have that. You can attain that. You can work for it. You can contribute to that. Leave this world a better place than how you found it. Right? Don't just here to use up resources. Give something back. Live in that purpose. Purpose doesn't have to be this big thing that you're called to do on this grand scale. Every single day, there's an opportunity to live in your purpose, to contribute in a way that you can contribute. If that's making my best friend laugh today because she's been down and out, I gave my purpose today. Give. I want my legacy to be about giving back the best way I know how to, and how that makes people feel good and you make a difference. We need more of that in this world. We need it.
Absolutely. I lead a nonprofit called Cake Therapy Foundation, Dee Dee. It's a space where I'm teaching just girls to bake their trauma, because I went through some things. And that baking thing saved me. So I'm teaching girls who've been impacted by the justice system, the foster care system, just how to bake and just release some things. You are a legend on the track. We know your track and field legacy. Tell me about Dee Dee Trotter's at the end of it all. What does it look like, and what is your message to the girl?
So I'm twice blessed, because my track and field legacy is the foundation of my life legacy, and it has nothing to do with the running. It's the journey God put me on when I started running had nothing to do with the running. I just had to stop running to see. For years, I ran in the physical mindset of this is an occupation, it is a job. That legacy was created out of hard work and determination, right? But what came out of that, when I was no longer running, when my body's broken, when I can't stand up for 10 hours without a swollen knee, when all was said and done, what was left behind was the truth. The truth was a story that allows me to resonate and reach people at their deepest level when they want to give up, when they want to quit, when they're uninspired, when they're unmotivated, when they feel like they want to not be on this planet anymore, when they feel like I've literally had people tell me, if it wasn't for the message you shared today, just a few weeks ago, I did not want to have my life. And when you have these, when my blessing from all the years of running is the story that it created through the struggle, through the trials and tribulations, through the difficulties, through the failures. It was the winning and the medals, just figments of a bunch of rewards that didn't actually have any real weight. The real weight is being able to change someone's life by telling them your most vulnerable moments and reaching them on a level that says, look, yeah, I was a winner. Yes, I was a winner. Bypass that. I was a loser. I lost. I was down. I was out. I was broken. I was weak. I was terrified. I was fearful. I've been myself. I'm everything you are. But let me show you how to get out of that. And that is the message that God gave me to share with people. The running was just a gateway to a real life situation that has been giving the gift that keeps on giving. People say, oh, running, you're over. Like, yeah, I stopped running years ago, but I keep running because the running is a gift that just keeps giving every time I step onto a stage or every time I step into a room. Like just right now, I'm talking to somebody right now and I'm telling them that the legacy I leave behind is you can, you must, you will keep going. Don't give up. You got this. Like it is just a matter of continuing to try and to fight every day. Fight every day to have the purpose that God has put in you. And your purpose, like Jess said, it doesn't have to be to change the world. It just might be to change one person, change one life, change your own. It doesn't have to be such a grand scheme. But I think what people are missing now is legacy only has to be as big as your heart. Like just start there. And so whatever in there, give it up. Because you can't take it with you. You can't take it with you.
I know I didn't have no intentions for church this morning, but church came, right? So let me ask you ladies, in like to wrap up in the interest of time, what do you hope for the Taste of Gold Bakery? What is your hope?
Oh, you want? Well, I think we should both talk about the.
Yeah, you both.
Okay. What I see for Taste of Gold is we're more just food. Our motto is greatness has a taste, right? So we are trying to create on desserts. Oftentimes a dessert looks pretty, it doesn't taste very good. So we're trying to change that dynamic. But the future for me in my mind is we're mobile. We have multiple locations. We are serving the community. We are not just serving desserts and food. We are giving back. We're able to donate. We're able to create foundations and organizations that help kids like you're doing with Cake Therapy. We're bigger than just with food.
Yeah.
And that's because that's just how my heart is. I've always out to see my nonprofit somehow intertwined in what we do with Taste of Gold and just make it all one big of who we are. And, never put a cap on it. Like people always say, oh, but this is what we do. Yes, but this is what we need. So I'm always looking to feel the need, fill the gap. And what I think you're doing with Cake Therapy, Dr. Foster, is just amazing. I love that. And as soon as I knew about what you were doing, I'm like immediately like, how can we help? How can Taste of Gold be involved? Like what can we do to help make that even more impactful, more visible, more powerful? And even with our own time, like how can we get involved and see that is the big picture I have for Taste of Gold. We serve food, we service the community, we change the way that beautiful foods are as they have a great taste as well.
Absolutely. You said it all. I feel like I don't have much to say outside of this is just the first time the world has seen us through together collab. Right? This is just the first time. Yeah. There are going to be so many other times that the world sees us on so many different platforms, because what you're building, Dr. Foster, it's great. It's greatness. And just with some hard work and dedication and having the right people speak and help elevate that platform, we will be back.
Oh, yeah.
You will. Greater. We're going to be better. We're going to be blooming. And we're going to invite so many other young women to just open up and do more. And that's amazing. People know that this can take place. We are not competitors. We work together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we're just going to go up.
Yeah, exactly. We're women who are baking with a purpose, and we're helping girls to unleash their inner champion, right? To unleash their inner champion.
You're using all the mottos.
Yes, girl. You got my notes, girl. I've been up since 6.
Yes, come.
I'm coming.
Absolutely.
This has been amazing. When I wrote my book this year, and I thought about how am I gonna, my name carries no weight. I have no claim to fame. I'm just Oladi's wife, Kendi and Kennedy's mom, right? And I'm like, how am I going to use what I have and what I got to change the way girls start seeing themselves? And then I'm an introvert at heart. So I'm like, podcast, like this was God. Like, girl, you gotta do a podcast. And I'm like, no, God, no podcast. But when things and the hard messages come to me, I put them out to the world. Like, a podcast is coming. I have no choice now but to have a podcast. And then I remember Dee Dee in my Explore page, and I was like, I have to get her on my podcast. Because I knew there was so much more to you. Yeah. I wanted to hear the story. And then what? There's Jeff there? It's 2 of them doing this?
Double trouble.
So listen, this is my first dual having 2 guests at the same time. And I'm truly honored that it was you too. I'm excited for the future of Taste of Gold. It's awesome. I get it. Taste of Gold, guys. Hey, and we're baking with a purpose. And it's been awesome having you here today. I really appreciate it. And to our guests, thank you for joining us. This has been your slice of joy and healing. As a matter of fact, it's the whole cake today, guys. Not just the slice. We got the whole cake today. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for tuning in to the Cake Therapy Podcast. Your support means the world to us. Let us know what you thought about today's episode in the comment section. Remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And if you found the conversation helpful, please share it with a friend. Also, follow Sugar Spoon Desserts on all social media platforms. We invite you to support Cake Therapy and the work we do with our foundation by clicking on the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description, or by visiting the Cake Therapy website and making a donation. All your support will go towards the Cake Therapy Foundation and the work we are doing to help women and girls. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode.